Hello, hello. This is Are We Woke Yet? Um, and today we're gonna talk about what are we gonna talk about, Leo?
We're going to talk about a bunch of things. Um, so we thought maybe to, you know, bring back the topic of cancel culture a little bit more. And for that, we're going to talk about a bunch of things that have gone viral a little bit in the past week.
Mm,
Um, the whole white boy summer trend is something I would like to touch upon.
okay.
But yeah, should we
Yeah.
mention the fact as well that we've been gone for
Two
what has it been, 2 weeks?
weeks. 2 weeks.
It's
Yeah.
been 2 weeks, yeah. um yeah, I don't know, like the last couple of weeks I've just
Well, first of all, yeah.
been,
Oh, sorry.
sorry, no, I was just gonna say I've been a bit, there's normal work but just a bit in my head, and just, yeah, concentrating on sort of like lockdown and other stuff that's going on. It's, yeah, crazy over here, but yeah.
I went back to London, and I feel like at this point I had a different background on every podcast we made. Like
Yeah.
every time in a different space. So right now I'm in my living room in London. Yeah, wow, that's not exciting at all. But we just took a little bit of a break because Leo wasn't feeling it and I wasn't feeling it, and yeah, we are back.
Yeah.
And also today we're going to be joined by a very special guest who we're going to reveal later.
Yeah, we have a guest coming in tonight.
Yes, very
Right.
exciting. Our first guest. Okay, so should we start with the Hanks thing?
Yeah. So you watched the videos with me, right? So Chet Hanks, for those who don't know, is Tom Hanks's son. Is a bit of his, he's like his renegade son, and he's not an actor. He's not involved in
Is
media or anything, but he's a bit of an internet personality, right? Um, and so much so that he went viral last week or I'm not sure if it was last week or if it's been before that, but for launching the white boy summer trend. And that's something I just found hilarious because I saw a lot of people debating after as well, especially in those sort of like magazines known for pushing this
first, do you
cancel
want
culture
to explain
narrative.
First, do you want to
Sorry.
do we want to explain what was going on in videos? Because I feel like that's an important background. Like obviously
Oh
everyone
yeah.
can go in and see it for themselves, but isn't she like doing Jamaican accent? Like what?
Yeah, so like that's another video probably. But the white boy summer one is just him saying, "Oh guys, this is white boy summer, okay? Like we're gonna have a white boy summer." And then he goes on to post like rules about white boy summer, and
What does it
you
even
know
mean?
he posts videos with like rappers talking, black rappers as well, saying, "Is everyone summer, guys?" So he's doing those things that are going viral, right?
Weird.
And I don't know. I don't know what it means, but they're going viral, right? They're sort of funny. Um, so like trying to understand him is what people have been trying to do, like in the past week, and some people have been sort of hinting at canceling him as well for that because of all this white boy stuff. And um, I've seen a few takes on it, and uh, I don't know. Like I'm not sure what to think because at the same time that he's saying those things, uh, you got to look a little bit at his merch as well, and like his merch aesthetic is like extremely like white nationalist. Like it looks a little bit strange there, but like at the same time, he's just a funny guy, right? He's just like
Well,
saying those things, and
well,
I don't know, like if he should be canceled or if he's just
I
above
think
it.
an interesting thing to look at here is kind of in comparison to other people, why is this question even being asked? Because usually people just get canceled. There isn't really that much of a huge debate whether or not is it funny. Like a lot of the times, just like you're just canceled. You said something, you are right. Um,
Yeah,
and I wonder how much like his social position and financial situation, him being a white boy and the son of Tom Hanks, has to do with the fact that people are kind of like debating it more and like, oh, but it's comedy, you know?
Yeah. But maybe like I think people aren't debating it in that way. People aren't really canceling him
Okay.
uh, because he's funnier than what you would assume like a traditional you know attempt by the far right would be. He's just a funny guy, like you know, with those Jamaican accent videos, for example. Like you watch those things and you can't help but laugh at the
But they
guy.
are extremely insensitive.
They are extremely
Like,
insensitive. Like that's not
but
even a
the
question.
thing is,
But I don't know. They have a sort of mimetic value.
but the thing
Um,
um I think in terms of internet personalities, it would be very easy not to cancel them per se, but cancel their content. So let's say like kind of make him maybe either by like losing of followers, I don't really know how it works, but kind of make him stop producing this offensive content. And if he's so funny, he could just produce other content that's not offensive.
yeah,
And then at the same time, like try to learn why these things were offensive. Like you could easily
yeah,
be like, let's cancel this trend. Like let's just not do that. Because I don't know, did you see that big thing on TikTok? I'm not on TikTok, but I saw it. About this trend of being, it's like hyper heterosexual. No, it's called super straight. And a super
no.
straight trend is like people being funny on TikTok, but it basically means that they're straight, so straight they wouldn't date a trans person, which is extremely offensive and like exclusionary.
Wait, how's that a trend on TikTok? Like, what are these videos?
Like videos and be like, ha ha ha, I'm super straight. And it's just like a
Oh,
thing of what people do, like a theme of videos and like posts, whatever. Um, and so
that's strange.
yeah, that's what I mean. And like you could just cancel this trend. Like it shouldn't be, other
Yeah,
people shouldn't be wanting to produce similar content and getting like misinformed, or like misinformed at saying things in a Jamaican accent when you're white is funny, because like it's not. But because these videos are out there, people are gonna be like, ah, you know, it's kind of funny. I could do that too, probably, right? You know?
yeah. I don't know. Like to me, what like from looking at Chet Hanks and the way he behaves in the video, uh, especially of those videos of him talking a Jamaican accent,
Yeah.
uh, you look at him and you can't help but think that he's a little bit crazy, right? That he's a little bit like that sort of guy who doesn't care about anything that anyone thinks, and he just exists outside the logic of morality, as it were. And he's just sort of like being funny in his own way. And like people are, I don't know, kind of like understanding a little bit that about him, maybe. But yeah, I don't know, because because it's also, as you said, it's like harmful as well, because like some of the things
Because
that
also,
he says or that he's aligned with, because there's a whole movement
the
of
thing is
people who
like,
are like this at the far right, and that's something we should talk about as well, maybe.
but in general, I just wanted to add that, like, not to say that that would be okay, but it's not like if he was a person with like 100 friends on Facebook, or like you know, like a private person, he did like a stupid video. Um, obviously, that would also not be okay. But like, then at least he doesn't have a platform. People aren't following him or trying to mimic his actions.
Yeah,
Oh, that's what I'm kind of concerned about. And I'm not saying, because I think we should get into like what cancel culture is in general and what we think about it. And I'm not saying I'm like pro cancel culture, like let's cancel this man. Um,
yeah.
I'm just saying that like his behavior should be stopped in some way.
Hmm. Yeah, because I think when you look at his behavior, it's also aligned with um trend that you see on the internet, on those far corners of Twitter and Reddit and 4chan, that you see growing a sort of like extreme irony. And it's something that I've been noticing in meme pages recently on Instagram as well. How, there's one in particular that I follow that, and they tend to be ironic posts already, but now it's just switched to extreme irony. It seems
Yeah.
it's like they're taking their humor to a new level, and they're saying, oh, for example, like uh what's wrong with all those activists, and they're just being extremely mean about them, and so on and so forth. But um what you see is like a justification for all of that as well, sort of becoming to be understood by these people, I think. And that's what I think is dangerous, because when you look at uh, the sort of things that we were talking about before, like that podcast, right? The Bronze Age pervert. He's another example of someone who's just like this, right? I don't know. You didn't get a chance to
I did.
watch that podcast, did you? But yeah, it's just like another example of extreme irony
You want to tell
by
us
this guy
more?
who's called the Bronze Age pervert, and he's just he has this podcast called Caribbean Rhythms, and it's him with this lousy German accent, just you know lecturing Nietzschean philosophy and
Mm,
his interpretation of Nietzschean philosophy, which is very dangerous. And that's something I wanted to alert people to as well, that it's growing, this tendency on the internet to sort of like take this mimetic content a bit further,
mhm.
you know. But yeah, um, I don't know. Should we bring Shah in?
No, wait. First, wait. What did you think about the podcast, though? Like, what?
Oh, that podcast, the Caribbean Rhythms one.
Yeah.
So it's crazy because when you actually listen to it and you take it fully, you know, at face value, or beyond face value rather, what you see is him mixing a sort of racism, and he says things about Croats and Turks, and he talks about British food and German food, and he talks about women supposedly not being able to cook, and he has all these sort of like prejudices that are mixed in this, but he's using Nietzsche in a very strange way to sort of um, argue about the right type of human physiology and so on, and all of these Nietzschean themes. And it's all like it sounds very strange, but I would argue it's very effective, at least.
But you're not pro it. I thought you were like, that's okay.
Oh
Just
no, like what I mean is, it's sort of something that I see the potential to mobilize people if the left, for instance, doesn't know how to react to this growing trend on the internet and things like that. Um, I see it as a real phenomenon, rather. You know, it's not something as trivial as it might seem, in my opinion.
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So I think we should bring our guest. So I'm gonna pause now, so we
yeah.
can get Shaw seated and everything, and then we're gonna come back. Okay, so today on our podcast, our secret guest is Shahin Cornelius, who is an artist, musician, thinker, feeler, poet, and a writer. Hello, Shahin.
Hello, Zuza. Thank you for the lovely
How do you
introduction.
feel
Hello, Shah.
being with
Oh,
us
yeah.
here
It's a
today?
pleasure to have you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be here as well.
Shah came to us all the way from San Francisco. He flew in today just to be
True.
on our podcast.
It's true.
So
He teaches
we're gonna
at,
talk.
what is the university in San Francisco? San Francisco University.
That one. I teach
That's
that,
where he
actually.
teaches creative writing and philosophy. Yeah,
Right.
Getting that poetry money.
he's getting his poetry money. You're gonna have to speak louder.
Getting that poetry money.
Getting that poetry money. Okay, well,
So
so
he
yeah,
writes poetry.
Shah does
Is that what
right.
you?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Thanks.
But yeah. What are the topics we're going to talk about? Like cancel culture, right?
Yeah, I was told
Yeah.
cancel culture.
You were so
Yeah.
That's not
So
true.
like
Yeah.
we were talking before about Chet Hanks and the whole white boy summer trend. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about it until I was just walking by here. Would you guys
So,
disagree?
so you haven't heard of the white boy summer trend?
I saw a meme that was like white boy summer, and I looked at it and I was like, oh my god, ridiculous. And kind
And
of, like,
he was
discussed
also
it.
doing like Jamaican accent, ha ha ha. He's Tom Hanks' son, and he was doing
Yeah.
problematic things on the internet, and people were debating canceling him, right?
Yeah, it's sort of like an interesting debate because I think it lies a bit above the idea of canceling him, is what I was saying earlier. It's like, I think people are starting to look at Shahin and what he's saying and all these things about white boy summer as just being funny for what they are. You just take them at face value and they're funny and that's it. And they're not really, in this case, trying to cancel someone who maybe before would have been canceled, I
I have
think.
a question though, kind of to start off the conversation. What is cancel culture? Because I feel like people have various interpretations of what it actually means. Because I'm not really sure, like, how do you cancel someone? Does it mean losing followers on your platform? Like, I don't know.
I agree. It's a good place to start off defining that.
Yeah. I would have a hard time defining it as well because you just have to look at um, sort of, you know, maybe just look at what happens with people who are actually canceled, right? So you have a few examples like Kevin Spacey. He was someone who was canceled, for instance.
Yeah.
And he had reasons for this, and he lost, a lot of contracts. He lost a lot of followers, and all that, fame brings him, and all of that. Um, but you have sort of more trivial examples as well of it happening across society, where it happens over things like this, for example, things like a meme, things like someone saying it's white boy summer, right? And in that case, I think it would probably mean probably the same. Even that person would probably, like, if he or she was canceled, he would lose his job, lose contracts, lose followers, lose credibility, lose whatever. So I think that's what it is, sort of.
Mhm. Yeah, I think there are. I was thinking about it earlier. I think there are three like kinds of canceling depending on the relationship of, I guess, canceller to cancelee. You see it with friends, acquaintances, and then most frequently talked about is with kind of consumer to celebrity type relationship. But I think across all three, what they have in common is kind of the canceller refuses to associate with the cancelee. So I guess kind of like consequence of that are like losing jobs and contracts because these businesses no longer want to associate with this actor because of the backlash they'll receive maybe. And
Yeah,
I think
and it feels like at times it's something like an external tribunal, right, of the internet that's created to punish people who might have said something, and it actually has real world impact for those people, um, even before some sort of like institutional or judicial analysis happens.
See,
And I
that's
think that's what worries most people
but that's what I feel
about
like
it.
the crucial word here, because I feel like if you assume cancel culture, like if its main assumption is about punishment, then that's wrong. But if you see if cancel culture's goal was rehabilitation, that would be a different thing, because you wouldn't be like getting someone off the internet to punish them and for them to like lose money, lose their lives or whatever. But you'd be like, okay, we could like work with you. You should maybe delete this sort of content. You should show us that, I don't know, you're re-educating yourself on certain things, or any sort of thing like that, where you wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily lose everything, but you would kind of be given this ultimatum, like you should change, or else maybe then the official, like the latter punishment would be actual punishment. I don't
mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah. I also think that another main worry that people have about cancel culture is that it serves as, in their heads, and maybe in reality even, like a block to free speech, right? A block to what they consider as humor, for example. Um, so like, even in the white boy summer example, you could argue that it's just humor. And if you had someone trying to cancel that, it would be someone trying to block free humor or free speech, something like that, you know. So I think people sometimes worry about that as well.
What do you think, Shah, about like the comedy being justification to certain actions, like being insensitive, like racially insensitive, or not even that, just like being a dick, but kind of hiding behind, but that's comedy
What do,
argument. Like, what do you think
do you
about
think
it?
that's okay? Um,
Or like, do you think if there's examples in which the comedic aspect of it could justify someone's behavior action?
I think that if it's gonna be justified, it's not through that it's like funny enough or whatever, because it's never gonna be measured. But I I, I have an anecdote. Um, I played tennis my sophomore year of high school, and I was sitting at the back of the bus with this other kid who was on the tennis team, and he pulled up this like I should say we both did it. We were involved. I was completely complicit and down, you know. And we pulled up this list of those like offensive jokes, like Google search, like the first link or something. I don't even know. And we just read them the entire 30-minute, or this was actually on the way back from the game, and read it the entire bus ride back, kind of quietly and like giggling, and like the other kids around us were giggling, and our coach had overheard all of it and was so mad. And me and the other kid, he had us, he had us write essays and like run extra laps for like hours every day for like a month or something absurd. And I remember feeling so indignant and like I had been wrongly punished. And now these are jokes I wouldn't make, and they were not sensitive to. And now I understand that when when people's feelings are on the line, it's always better to lean towards being sensitive towards that. But I didn't, in that moment, I didn't feel like it hurt anyone. And I remember feeling like I was punished unfairly, and that made me want to, it made it harder for me to see that I should be being sensitive, because also then people weren't being sensitive to me, because I wasn't malicious what I had done, it was insensitive.
I mean, you were a kid also. Do you feel like it would be helpful more if you had like a conversation with you of like, this is why it was hurtful and like you shouldn't be making, instead of like punishing you with all these like doing laps and stuff?
Well, he had me write an essay about why,
So do you
figure
think,
out why what you did was wrong.
so if you think that like if this essay without all this other additional punishment, would you have felt like more, well, not like remorseful, but more like would have thought about, oh, this was actually quite wrong?
I think I would have reacted negatively either way, because I, as a person, am kind of like, even like growing up as a child, I always really pushed back against punishment. And I think different people respond to punishment in different ways. And you use the word, Leo, punishment, like cancel culture is kind of this punishing. And I was just relating it to being a child, where it's used to kind of, your parents need to socially condition you, you know, their child. And so, but I don't think you can say that for like, I don't want my society teaching me in that way, like Pavloving me, you know, like with parents,
Yeah.
there's trust and love. And that's why for cancel culture, I listed the 3 relationships where I think it occurs. And I think where you definitely cannot do it is with,
Private relationships.
yeah, your friends. That's where there is the love, and you really have the most chance of teaching, I think. And
Yeah, I feel like it depends on your positionality. Like, if the jokes or like things that are being said, I don't know, if like you have the privilege that it doesn't kind of affect you and it doesn't like emotionally affect you to talk about it and educate someone, then you should. Unless it was something that maybe harmed you so much, because it was like personal to you and you can't get over it, that's fine. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's different for people with platforms that can influence other people to do bad things. Like if we say about like Trump getting banned from Twitter because he like wanted people to storm the Capitol, you know, it's different because like you're maybe taking away someone's platform so they don't cause further harm. But as Shah is saying, in private relationships, like I don't know why we would cancel someone really. And
Yeah.
like, if we care for them, we'd want them to be better.
yes,
And it's also like we have to look at those things on a case by case basis as well, because I guess with something like the Shahin situation, where you have him saying, it's white boy summer, you don't really have him um, damaging one person specifically, or Is just some sort of discursive thing that's happening, and people might get mad about that. But with him, it seems like there's not like a victim to his discourse, really. So I think sometimes that question has to come as well, if who exactly has been harmed and so on, because sometimes it happens over things that um, seem like a bit unnecessary almost, like um, maybe when it comes to humor, it's a bit more like that, because sometimes it's just hard for people to see, I guess, exactly how someone saying again, white boy summer, how exactly that turns into something that's, something racist, or I don't know. Um, so yeah, like I think that question has to be drawn as well in the debate sometimes.
But I think it's important is to remember that, okay, if we weaponize cancel culture and like make it a thing because someone has said I don't know, something that was insensitive or whatever. I think it should be remembered that it could also be weaponized by other groups in the society, and it like when cancel culture becomes a thing, you could also easily cancel people that actually have like quite positive impact on society, cancel people from the left. Okay, so I watched The Bachelor,
Yeah,
and there was like recently um,
for sure.
a bit of like a racist incident on The Bachelor, and it ended up being that all the white population, like from The Bachelor and viewership, started canceling this black woman for speaking up her mind and standing up to racism. And she lost like millions of followings, millions of brand deals. So I feel like, yeah, if we make it a thing, we should know that like the enemy, let's say people that we deem as racist or other things, like could also weaponize that to harm people that haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah, I think it just gets basically spread in it's in everyone's power to cancel someone as well, in this day and age, right? Where people can just mobilize a little group on Twitter, and they can just act to cancel someone. Um, but yeah, uh, we were talking earlier as well about that podcast, right? That I mentioned about the Bronze Age guy, and he's an interesting he raises interesting points about um, cancel culture as well, because I mean it's a very complex
Can you tell Shah again
story.
what the podcast was about?
Sorry.
Can you tell again what the podcast was
Oh
about?
yeah. So the Bronze Age pervert is this guy who I found on Twitter last night, and he has this podcast called Caribbean Rhythms. And it's very strange. It's very strange because it's him, only himself. He has no guests or anything. In this sort of German accent, or at least this episode that I watched, it was him talking about Nietzsche, right? He was like giving a lecture on Nietzsche, and like it was crazy because what he was saying was, um, you know, misogynist for sure. He was saying how women can cook for men and how they can't uh, keep the physiology of men like going, so, things like that.
Can you
Um,
justify what he was saying? Was that
he was justifying it through Nietzsche. Uh, and he was also talking about like other ethnic groups in Europe, about Croats and Turks being cannibals and all these like atrocious things. But he was like using Nietzschean philosophy in a weird way to sort of argue for the importance of the body, of the perfect physiology, and so on and so forth. And he was raising points as well about cancel culture. What I wanted to talk about, and I think that's what those far right, how those far right circles think, because they look at cancel. He looks at cancel culture as being basically the modern embodiment of what he calls resentment, right? Of like a sort of like resentment to the natural human body as it is, which is like this idea of the body as being composed of hierarchies and there's like groups that are sort of like um, you know, hierarchically better than others when it comes to like body development and things like that that he talks about like in this podcast. And it's all this crazy ideology to justify some sort of racism in him as well. And he talks about this resentment that cancelers have for this sort of like conception of nature, basically. And I found that very interesting. I don't know, like, but it's sort of like again, it's this completely weird medium as well, right? Um, that it's this weird language, is this weird prejudices that uh, he talks about as well. So it's a very strange thing, but I think that's how the far right circles think. They basically think that the leftist conception of um, modernity basically is adherent to all the wrongs in modern society. So it's something crazy. I would recommend people listening to this podcast, but for sure it's something like
Confused. I don't know.
it takes like an open mind to even sort of like go there, because uh, you just feel like stopping at certain points, but when you keep going, it gets creepier and creepier. But yeah, but I was thinking earlier as well about whether or not we should cancel someone like this, and I don't know. I have my opinions.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask you when you recommend listening to him, do you think he's like representative of that kind of thinking or just one crazy guy? Like,
I think he's representative of a group. Like, he has a large following on Twitter, from what I saw. Um, it's something that we were talking about earlier as well, that seems to be growing on the far corners of the internet. This sort of extreme ironies as well, and I think it's attracting a lot of people, and I think it's dangerous. Um, but
mhm.
yeah, um,
Yeah, that's a really good case I think to bring up for canceling because it's one of, or I don't know, I haven't looked at what this guy said, but let's suppose it's something like really far right or say like inciting violence or whatever. I think that's the best like justification for canceling. If it's pragmatic, by doing this, we're not doing it to punish the person because eye for an eye, they've wronged and they must be wronged, but because there's something that should be stopped. I think that case is one of the easier ones.
yeah. Like, I had a different sort of opinion, because I was thinking that maybe instead of really canceling someone like that, we should look at what they're doing, which is using the internet effectively to mobilize people, uh, and using this mimetic language in a way to captivate them, but of course with the wrong political messaging, with the wrong political codes, as it were.
You could
And
look at it as an example and still cancel it. Like as an example of how to
yeah,
weaponize that, not as an example of what to talk about.
yeah, I guess you could, but yeah, what I mean is like we shouldn't really just reject them. We shouldn't really just tarnish them as racist. Maybe we should look at what they're doing, and they're doing something that's extremely effective in this day and age, and that's what I wanted to say, which is use this sort of internet base and this sort of language, this sort of internet language, uh, to go after political objectives. And I mean that's basically what the left has to understand that the right is doing, and that it isn't doing. So I don't know, like, yeah, I think that's one of the points I wanted to make as well about this.
I didn't mean to say that he should be canceled. I said it's one of the easier cases. I meant it's one of the more difficult cases because there's a better argument put forth for canceling it if it has a real threat.
Okay.
Which, but
Yeah,
I don't believe in canceling because I think it involves necessary conflating of behavior and identity. Like you are your action, and like I think it's a you can't justify the jump in reasoning of claim that action was bad to that person is bad. I don't see the link, which I think needs to be there to justify canceling someone. But in the case of this guy, I think what you said is important. I think it is like right now there's like at least in my bubbles I hear a lot of canceling is pretty common, and it seems like the kind of more with it like reasonable narrative is that we should be listening to one another, and I do see it around, and I think you raised an important point that like I don't do that stuff, and I've thought about it that I should, but I don't hear that much from people who don't think in similar ways and have similar beliefs.
I think like I don't know, for me in this case it's like quite black and white in terms of like I do feel like he maybe should be cancelled in terms of like his maybe he just should stop doing the podcast. um but I was thinking like there are cases where it's very much less clear, especially if someone's like doing a lot of good work either like online or like an activist area wherever, and then they make a mistake or they actually do something that is quite bad, and in those cases people tend to be canceled as well. And what I'm thinking about right now, there is this Instagram person called Tyler Nolan. And she's a black woman advertising for like anti-racism. She's a psychiatrist, so she like advertises for mental health and everything. And there's quite a lot of good work that she's done in educating people. But then there were tweets from her from like 10 years ago that were surfaced of her saying like anti-Asian shit, some things that were like fat phobic, and she's been canceled. Like we're like, this is ridiculous. But then there are other people that were saying that, oh, if not for your platform, I wouldn't have learned all these things about like, oh, what I was saying was racially insensitive and all that. So she's kind of losing the platform that was also educating people in a lot of areas that were very good. And I don't really know it, like what should happen in that scenario, but yeah, she's been canceled.
Yeah, I think sometimes the deplatforming is really dangerous, right? Because it can happen to vehicles to large vehicles as well. Sometimes, in the vehicle I work in, there are always questions about, a piece that you write and how a certain group of people react to it. For example, how it's seen by them and the repercussions of that, which sometimes can be, you hear people talking of maybe we should stop reading this page because look at the discourse that they're trying to put forward. But it's not really like that in most cases as well. Um, but I don't know. I think this risk of deplatforming is real as well. Like you lose more when you cancel than you gain in those situations.
Which
So
I didn't hear.
sorry.
Risk of what?
Uh, I was just saying like you risk losing more than you gain from canceling in those cases where you deplatform something that has value, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
even in terms of our podcast, who literally no one listens to, I was like, shit, what if we get canceled? And I feel like I'm like trying to work on my brain to think in a certain way and like never say anything that could be offensive. But still, I feel like it's become so common. People are even scared to talk about certain ideas or even see if they could enter a conversation into someone maybe they know that
yeah,
might be thinking in a way that's not very nice. Like even in terms of our friends, we had a friend at NCH that we fought for a while. Like she said a few things that were quite racist, and all of us just stopped talking to her. And I feel like and I've spoken to her like 2 years later about it, and she was like, "Yeah, I don't think those things anymore because I had friends to talk to me and explain to me why they were wrong." And she was kind of like, I hope, like, I would have hoped that you guys came to me then, and just talk to me about why that is and not get angry and never speak to me again." So I feel like, yeah, you just kind of lose the ability to learn as well and to educate people, and you just cancel everyone left and right because they said one thing that was wrong because maybe they were like uneducated about something.
yeah. No, that's real. Like that's a real danger as well, because it's kind of cruel again, this idea that we can use this power to punish anyone, and there's no sort of ground for that, and we have no eye to recovering them and sort of like making them better and making society a better place if we're just
Yeah,
worried about
when
going after, you know, sort of minor statements and so on and so forth.
and I just wanted to say I think mental health is also an important aspect of it because I don't think everyone can survive getting canceled, like literally. What was that thing with, Love Island? There was that girl who ran Love Island, Karen Flack, I think, and there was a police report. I think she like assaulted her boyfriend, and people really came after her, and they canceled her, and she ended up committing suicide because she couldn't handle what was being done to her. And I feel like people just forget that behind
Yeah,
those people there, I don't know that it's not just an internet persona and whatever. It is a real person, and it's nothing. I think it's better to show kindness and maybe educate, unless it comes like platforms like taking platforms away from someone, like in case of Trump, but in like lighter cases, it's better
the
to.
British media is very cruel in this, aren't they? Like sometimes they go after people. It seems like the coverage of those tabloids, you call them there, right?
Tabloid
Like,
over there.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like their headlines is just like personally attacking people all the time, and I think they did this in that case of that woman, right? And it's like they just don't consider, sort of like the potential mental health impacts of, things that they do. Even some people say that even about their coverage of the royal family now, how it's extremely biased against Meghan Markle, right? Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Um, I was gonna agree with Zuza. You had said something that I forgot that I wanted to respond to. Um, I might be drawing a blank. I'm sure it's something I wanted to
I
say.
can't hear properly. Sorry.
I
It's
feel
yeah.
like I'm kind of mumbling because I forgot what I wanted to
Shah
say.
was gonna say
Oh
something, forgot.
Um,
yeah.
oh yeah, at first I wanted to speak to kind of, or the more relevant point is that I think a lot of these issues are arising. I think we can go beyond saying that just they haven't considered these repercussions if it might be in people with mental health issues, but that at the core of engagement in this kind of behavior, um, you'll find something other than real concern for suffering. Because I think concern for suffering is concern for the suffering also of the perpetrator, if you will, or the person who's at fault. You know, concern for suffering is for all of it, and I don't think it's um, selective. I also wanted to speak to your point about feeling that you're scared that you might be canceled or something. And I have friends who make music and jokey, stupid songs and have vocalized similar fears. And I think this is kind of an abstract point, but I don't like that this has happened because then we find people being like kind of like fake sensitive. We're not fake sensitive, but sensitive to others for awareness of self and self gain. Because I don't want to be canceled or whatever. Instead of
Care.
it deprives you of the opportunity to be sensitive because out of care because the fear overrides, and then that's why you're being sensitive. And I think it's like it.
Yeah, it's not the true sort of, it's not the most authentic way of going about things, right? Sometimes that's something that I worry about as well. When you're doing things like, I was talking to a friend recently about this, and it was very interesting. A vegan friend who was sort of more into vegan radicalism, really radical veganism before, and she started seeing some of the things that she was doing as I don't know, something born out of guilt rather than some genuine care, which is really what you're looking for in life, right? It's doing things out of like a genuine love for things or something, not out of like some fear of
I think
um, or desire to put down other people who are not like you, and things like that that are real problem in every single movement, basically. Um,
I
but
think
yeah,
that's an important point as well to like why right now you can observe that there's way more of like performance activism in terms of just activism, because people, like, I think a lot of the times behind the performance activism is the being scared of being canceled. Like that's why you put forward certain content and you bring awareness, but then your online personality, there's nothing to back it up in your personal life. Like you don't actually maybe go to protest or support charities. You just talk about it online or to your friends, so it seems like you're okay just not to get canceled. And I feel like if that fear didn't exist, maybe we could actually have more people like doing the good thing, like and actually being active within the political sphere rather than just like posting on their Instagram.
Yeah. This thing about performance is very big, right? It's all about looking a certain way and so on. But it's rare to see the sort of activism that really cares for what it's doing and has a real political project, for instance, and like you can see all those things. But yeah, it's a problem nowadays, I think, because things get sort of shared in social media in a certain way, and people think it's just enough, right, to post a few things here and there and so on.
Plus,
But
it incites deception for bigger companies. Like if you look at H&M, they're very unethical in how they resource their clothing, but then they're scared of being canceled, so they would put forward a line that's conscious or whatever. And they will deceive people, and for like people that don't really look into their history on how they resource their clothing, people like, wow, this is such a cool brand. And instead of actually investing in their workers' wages, and actually improving their living conditions, they just do this Instagram or whatever, like internet campaigns for showing that they're woke, just not to be canceled. And again, that comes from this position of like disingenuity. Is that a word? Disingenuity?
I think so.
I think so too.
disingenuity,
Someone would know what you mean.
I don't know.
Opposite of.
Genuine. Yes.
What word are you trying to say?
No,
Wait, disingenuous?
yeah, from disingenuous.
What?
Disingenuous.
Oh,
Is that
I
okay?
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Don't check later in the dictionary.
I don't
Is there any other questions we would like to ask about cancel culture?
Um, I don't know. Like, do we think it should be?
Or do
Uh,
you have one example?
Oh.
Is there one example?
I don't know about a specific example. There's an argument for it that I didn't bring up that is in the case of consumer to celebrity or seller, whatever that might be, is that I don't want to support this person in the way that you would hear a vegan say, I don't want to support these kinds of farms, when it's not punishing,
Yeah.
but it is, we have our own money and we choose to give it where we will. But I think again, we defined canceling kind of. I don't know if we didn't. I guess you can't get to a conclusive definition, but I think you can not support someone without canceling them. It would be my response of an argument. Um, I don't know. How do you guys feel about stopping support for people because of differences in belief?
It makes sense because it's more of like a personal choice rather than a group decision as well. Because it's like, let's say Polanski, you could decide not to go to the cinema, buy tickets for his movies, or stream it for money. You could just stream it on like illegal websites where he doesn't personally gain from you having watched one of his movies. And then it's kind of like your personal thing of I just don't want to support that, especially for people that already have shit ton of wealth. It's not like he's actually losing out on that.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I think with like if I were to boil down everything, I would say it should still be a thing that society has a sort of say in what people do, and it should set boundaries, I think, and that's a question uh, of which boundaries it can set then. But I think sometimes it gets a bit overblown. But I wouldn't say fundamentally I'm against the idea of keeping checks on those who do things that are blatantly wrong, right? Because sometimes we just have to deal with people like that. It's just that in some cases there's a bit more nuance. And in most cases, actually, there's no nuance because in most cases, what you have is blatant sexual misconduct allegations or whatever reason someone is being canceled. But it's just that when it gets taken over as well as this massive thing that everyone is doing over the internet, it gets a bit dangerous and it gets a bit hard to control. But fundamentally, I don't think it's wrong. Yeah, I think that's where I'll come down.
Cancelling's not wrong fundamentally.
Sorry.
Canceling is not wrong fundamentally, you're saying?
Yeah, I don't have a fundamental problem with it. I don't think it's fundamentally wrong. I think it's on occasion wrong, and but I think sometimes when you're dealing with those blatant cases of as I was saying, sexual misconduct or racist declarations and so on and so forth, these things are fairly black and white, and but yeah, my problem with it would just be over things that different way where you don't really have a victim being targeted and so on. Like sometimes canceling happens in those instances, and that's when I'm particularly not happy about it, I would say.
Classic in terms of ways
But
of
yeah,
you
I think
froze
that would be my
as well,
take.
her face froze. Oh, my internet connection is unstable. Wait, I'm gonna pause for a second. Okay, we're unpaused. We're unpaused now. Sorry, but you froze. Um, oh, I was just also gonna say that I think one thing we should definitely remove from cancel culture is bombarding someone with messages about how shit they are and death threats. Because I feel like that's a big part that happens with it that people don't really talk about. Like, okay, you're canceled because people unfollow you. I feel like a lot of people also email you, DM you on Instagram, and just everyone, like thousands of people telling you that you're a shit person. And I feel like that doesn't really make much sense to do that, and that kind of should be the aspect of it that's always removed, no matter if it's like a bigger thing that was done that's wrong or a smaller one.
Yeah,
And yeah, and in general, just like the internet aspect of it is just so complicated because people have become so radicalized for
you
social
guys froze
media.
again to me.
Ah,
Wait,
okay.
we're back.
Yeah, I was
Sorry,
saying that people
I
are
think
so
it's my
radicalized.
internet.
You think so?
It
No,
it's
it's
really bad over here.
no, I was just gonna say that people are just very radicalized through social media, and they're ready to go after anyone and very viciously because there is no consequence to their actions as well. And I really don't like that part of cancel culture, no matter what example it refers to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the sort of bombarding with text and so on, it's just the sort of thing that you know people over the internet they tend to do, and they have no idea
Keep put on the.
of how it's going to impact people mentally, and like they just
Oh, he froze again. The internet's not very good these days, is it, Shah?
No, these days.
Oh my god, this is gonna be. Oh,
wait.
okay,
I can see now. Yeah,
it's gonna be crazy. Crazy! Wow, what a ride! Ooh, roller coaster.
yeah. I think it was very sort of um, like the debate we had didn't really have a single sort of
Conclusion.
continuous baseline, but it's good.
No, I
I
found
got
it.
it.
How you guys think? I think it was a very fruitful conversation. Shahin, you wanted to add something, right?
Yeah, I wanted to wrap up my feelings about cancel culture. I think I have to agree with Leo and say it's not wrong fundamentally because I can, like you're saying, with some black and white and important cases, um,
Yeah,
it's good, and therefore if it was fundamentally wrong, it would be wrong across the board. I think, but I think what's really important for me is intention, and I think if you're gonna do it, you should really ask yourself like why am I engaging in this behavior? Why am I doing this to this person? And I fundamentally do have a problem with like retribution or eye for an eye justice. And if it's just to hurt that person because you think that they're gross or despicable, which they probably are, in a lot of cases they are, I still think you make yourself the vessel for that kind of needling, which I would advise against.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
It's bad for your spirit. Like, there's no way doing that shit is good for your spirit, right? Doing things out of that,
Definitely not.
out, like doing things out of meanness, basically, is not good for you ever. You know. So like,
Completely, Leo. I agree completely.
Okay.
yeah, like I don't know. I think over the internet, people just get a bit crazy on those things, and they tend to forget about those things. But
Even I get crazy. I get into crazy internet fights with everyone. So
yeah,
Zuza,
I need to be stopped.
internet fights.
Yeah, I had a fight with Shah, and I chose to do it through the internet too. I like Facebook messaged him, kicked him out of my room, and then angrily typed in messages.
shit.
Group chat, not just to him, on our house group chat. So yeah, internet is my weapon of choice apparently. It's okay. There's no malice behind it, I've heard.
It's okay. These things happen, you know? And at the end of the day, these things happen as well, you know? What can you do?
What can you do? Cancel culture, it happens. What can you do? Okay, well, I think this is it, right? For that portion of the podcast.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Shah. Give it up for Shahin Cornelius.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for your wisdom.
Always bringing wisdom. Okay, I'm gonna pause now for us to go to the next part of the podcast. Okay?
My computer's super hot. Jesus.
Okay, well let's let it cool down, and I'm just gonna pose it. Okay. And so we are back with a new surprise guest, Tina Boschnak.
Hello.
Hey.
Yes. And what was it? What was it that you were? The Shah orifice? No.
Shaw orifice?
No, what Shah calls you? Retentive.
Oh, oral retentive
Oral retentive.
fixation.
Fixation.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Shah keeps on talking about it. It's
That's how you're gonna define it. The introduction Shaw got. Writer.
Okay. Tia is my wife. Also a writer, a curious mind, survivor, sportswoman, athlete. I should say, Olympic winner.
Yes.
Gold swimmer. Great boomer.
I'm a boomer.
Boomer.
No.
Okay.
He's a boomer. You're a boomer.
No, okay, so we are gonna do a little round of Would You Rathers. The game Would You Rather. So the first question is, would you rather move to a new city or town every week, or never be able to leave the city or town you were born in?
Every week.
Every week?
I'd be stuck here forever. I'm fine with that.
Oh, you can't see me ever because you can't travel.
But you could
No,
go.
would you? The question is, would you move from city to city every week,
Or stay where you
or be stuck in your place of birth?
Yeah.
Dude, like, there's no way. There's no way. No way about it. Imagine flying every week, different
I'd rather
cities.
fly
I
every
would
week.
do every week, yeah.
Nah, I
You
don't
don't
know,
have to
man.
fly either. You could just
You could
drive,
take a train,
train to
a
the next
bicycle,
town.
a little walk.
A little walk, a long walk, maybe.
A long walk, very fucking long walk. Well, that's interesting. I would have not have guessed, but that's
What would you rather?
for sure move.
Move every week.
Yeah, of course,
Mhm.
to explore, and I can still go for a week to my hometown because
Yeah.
I'll just move.
And it doesn't say you can't go back to the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
place every another week.
Okay, this is a lame one. Okay, would you rather suddenly be elected a senator, or suddenly become a CEO of a major company?
The CEO of a major company for sure.
Really? I would.
Dude, a senator can do shit. Like, what can a senator do? Like, it's
I want
boring.
to be a senator. That's kind of dope. I don't know. I would love to be in politics. So that's the thing.
Yeah, I'd
Though.
have to do CEO. I couldn't do senator.
Would you be a politician?
Yeah, I would really like. I mean, all the things, even this online, probably kind of disqualifies me. But yeah, I would love to be a politician.
Yeah.
That's a really nice job if you know how to do it and if you're a good person.
I wouldn't be a politician for shit.
CEO, but of what major company? Like what? CEO of Tesla?
No. If you're asking me about
That would be dope.
Elon Musk, I'd choose senator.
What about you?
I don't know. I'd be CEO if I wouldn't be one of those CEOs of the those investment funds, those guys that we see as the baddies. I'd be a cool CEO, you know that. Like
Cool.
I have
CEO.
like cool renewable energy company, and it'd be something like that. I'd be a cool guy.
Okay. This is a weird one, and I'm not sure if I follow, but would you rather live in virtual reality where you are all powerful, or live in the real world and be able to go anywhere but not be able to interact with anyone or anything?
Oh.
I'd
Wow.
rather do virtual reality because I'm not even sure that this is the reality.
Yeah, and
like this could be a simulation. I don't know what this
right
is,
now,
but this probably is a
this right now, but without being able to interact with people or things.
Yeah, that's a
what would
that's
I do?
like hell. That's what
That's
hell
just
looks
walking
like.
in a blank space.
Yeah, you're just like what are you supposed to be then? Are you supposed to be like some sort of like
You just see
free
but
floating entity that's just like doing things? I don't know. Like I'd be in virtual reality happily.
Like the question assumes if people think like if it's virtual reality, it means it's not real, but that would have to like carry the assumption that this reality is real.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we all
And we don't know that.
know that we don't know if that's true. Wow, that was very philosophical. Well, what is this? Okay, would you rather have whatever you are thinking to appear above your head for everyone to see?
Oh.
Or have absolutely everything you do in life stream for anyone to see?
So
Wow. That's tough.
All you think is always showing up on your head, or everything you do is showed on TV?
I think my thoughts are darker than my
Same.
actions.
Same. I'd rather do
Like you just can't have your thoughts out there like that. It's just like
that is for
but that
you.
means like they see you poop,
They see
have sex,
everything.
they see you like have intimate fights with your loved ones.
that's still better though. Imagine like I don't know. Imagine just having your thoughts public just like that. I'd probably
lying
die.
to someone and it all showing up, or like being unsure about your partner and it shows up like I actually want to break up with you. I think I don't love you anymore.
Impression of like friends at a party, you meet people.
Oh, and so
Yeah.
hurtful. It could be so hurtful.
Yeah, a little crazy maybe.
Okay. Ooh. Would you rather wake up as a new random person every year and have full control of them for the whole year, or once a week spend a day inside a stranger without having any control of them?
Spend a week inside a stranger.
I think so too.
Every week.
What's the first option again? Sorry.
Wake up as a new person every year and have full control of them for a whole year.
So you're always a different person every year.
But you can control them, and in second scenario, you're in someone's head, but you can't control their actions.
But that's only once every week.
Yeah.
For a day every week, you're in a stranger's head, but you don't control it. Stranger for sure. I wanna.
But I don't know.
I'd be in a stranger's head.
Yeah. I don't think I want to know what people are.
But it would be randomized. Like
what if it was like super scary and someone thinking I want to kill this person and like it's a.
But you're not that.
And, yeah, so but I can't. I know, but I know this is gonna happen. I can't stop it. The things I would witness, I feel like could break me.
But it could also.
I'd rather be a new person I'm in control of every year. Definitely.
Interesting.
What? I don't understand this. Would you rather live until you are 200 but look like you're
We
200.
don't know what 200-year-olds look like.
Yeah, we don't. Or look like you're 25 all the way until you die at age 65. That would be creepy. I'd rather.
You look 200 the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, obviously 25.
You look 200 the whole time. That's crazy. That's what it is.
Benjamin Button. But no reverse. It's
Oh
just
my
continue
God.
looking really old.
You're just continuously looking 200 years old. Is that
Yeah.
like how do we even know what that is? That's probably
People like capture
grim. That's a grim scene. What would a 200-year-old look like?
200-year-old and double the aging effects.
No, and also like is it look, but you're able to be like, oh no, it says until but you are healthy. Okay. No, I don't know. I
I
don't.
think 25.
Okay, 25. I said I'm 25.
Yeah, for sure.
Hi, Kat.
What would you rather your only mode of transportation be, a donkey or a giraffe?
Donkeys are stronger for like mules. So strong, but giraffe. If I could.
I go on a giraffe all the time. Imagine.
Giraffe would be really fun.
Giraffe could be fun because you could like slide from it sometimes, like ooh, if you're feeling bored.
Hey, you're just walking around on a giraffe, dude. Like,
Yeah.
what's better than that?
Fast. Giraffes are fucking fast.
That's cool as fuck, dude.
So cool.
Imagine pulling up in a place.
Clinky clanky legs. I love it.
Okay, another question. Would you rather every shirt you ever wear be kind of itchy,
Oh.
or only be able to use one roll of toilet paper per month?
Oh.
Per month, that's doable. That's easy.
Yeah, itchy, always itchy. I would walk naked. Oh my
Toilet
God,
paper's
the
not
kitchen
even
is
important.
sitting on you.
Dude, one roll of toilet paper a month.
Toilet paper's
That's
not
chill.
to.
Yeah, exactly.
Always have
You
an
could
itch.
not use it. Like,
Yeah, you could just not.
oh no, this is gross. This is gross. It's not actually gross, but you'll know why it's gross, but you can't say it. Would you rather have to read aloud every word you read, or sing everything you say out loud?
Oh my God, I know what you're thinking about.
Wait, read out loud. Say that again. Sorry.
Would you rather have to read aloud every word you read? Like if you're reading a newspaper to yourself or anything, you always have to read it out loud, or sing everything you say out loud?
Dude,
I'd rather talk. I couldn't.
I'd be singing all the time. That's fine. Imagine.
Singing would kill me. I would feel like in a fucking.
I would just be singing to you the whole time. Imagine.
Imagine you have like an important presentation.
Your life
You're
is a
like,
musical.
I'd be singing.
or like you're
That would be dope.
and you're like, someone got killed. Like
No,
no.
but then you just be known
I
as
would love that.
it's always singing.
Oh yeah, like maybe
If you just know, you know.
I'd rather say everything I read out loud, and people think I'm like intellectual.
Yeah, until you read the things that are
Yeah.
not too intellectual.
Not always everyone's around me, even though I read
That's
them out
true.
loud. So just
You're just
because I read it
reading
out loud
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's for everyone to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather be unable to move your body every time it rains, or not be able to stop moving while the sun is out?
Not be able to stop.
Not be able to stop moving until the sun is out. Is that what it is?
Heart attack, and it's so hot.
No, you just swim in the ocean a little, run around on the beach, dance while I don't know.
But that I would get
I
exhausted.
love going out in the rain.
True.
I guess I could lie out in the rain.
Plus,
and
like,
just
but
be
what if you're
still.
also like running from someone who's attacked you and it rains and you can't move? That's crazy. I don't want to risk that situation, but I
Yeah.
need to run or move somewhere. My house is on fire.
And can you get shade in the sun, or is it just when it's sunny out?
I don't know. I think you can get shade in the sun
Because
too.
in the shade, then you get a little cool down break where you stop moving.
Ooh, Basha would hate this one. Would you rather have all dogs try to attack you when they see you, or all birds try to attack you when they see you?
dogs?
Your dogs. You don't want them. Birds are fine.
Birds can fucking jab your eye out.
Yeah, but
Have you seen birds?
birds are everywhere.
What sort of birds do take your eye out?
Bill. Joe Bill will take
Shoebill, will
everything
destroy
out.
you.
Shoebill will discard you, like it will
you.
choke you.
What?
No one
Have
will
you
find your
researched
real name.
shoebill? It's a
Shoebill
fucking
bird.
huge bird. Insane.
Giant
They're
beak.
so scary.
They're so cool though.
They're big. They're like those um eagles and shit. Like
Would you rather have birds attack you, like shit on you?
yeah, depends on the birds. Like if you're talking about those types of birds, I was thinking of like pigeons and stuff.
No, but
Like that's
All birds.
and dogs you can somehow hide from. I feel like
dogs are
birds
easy
would
to
like
hide from.
yeah.
Birds are in trees. There are
yeah.
pigeons.
Depending on the type of bird, it would be scary.
We have pigeons living in our garden.
Fucking vultures, man.
Literally,
Vultures
Leo,
are fucking toxic,
pigeons
literally.
living in our garden. They have a little nest.
And we
We
saw
had a
the
couple.
two, Mama and the Papa. We saw
The mama and the papa of pigeons live in our garden.
Shit, man. Back in the beach, we have massive vultures all the time, and it's fucking scary because, like, I don't know, you just look at those creatures and they're like eating rotten meat, and it's like they can't be good. They can't be good. And there's so many of them. But yeah, I think twice about that actually.
What are you?
Would you rather have to fart loudly every time you have a serious conversation, or have to burp after every kiss?
Fart. I'm just not gonna have any serious.
I think farting is better.
Burp. Like, burping is not gross.
Burping is so aggressive. Like farting, you
I
can
love
also.
burping though.
I do enjoy a
I
little.
can't believe
burp.
I just chose farting. I think I'd have to do burping. But
Burping is like I don't know. With farts, you can sort of like be chill with them. You know, like you can hide them a little bit.
I don't know. The other ones are kind of shit. The ones I'm reading. Do you guys have any ones you could think of? Would you rather's?
Let's think here. So Snake Island or middle of the desert. You have to see the pictures of the Snake Island first, though, because I'm referring to a particular Snake Island that's very scary. Trust me, it's got a shit ton of snakes. Would you rather be stuck there for a night or spend a night in the desert? No, would you rather be stuck there in a night for a night or be stuck for a week in the desert? Whoa.
I'm not surviving a week in a desert.
really?
No.
Why?
Just because I've never been to a desert, really, and like I don't know what precautions to take, how to act if there is a sandstorm.
Assuming you could survive there, like in both, you just have to spend there. You just have to spend some time there.
If I can survive, and it's also not like I survived, but I've like was almost dying the whole time. Like if I am enjoying myself, kind of, then yeah, then desert.
I think desert. I'd find more peace. I think if I
I think desert is fine as well. Yeah, it should be chill.
it's sane to talk about surviving a Snake Island. I'm sure a lot. Of
You could write a
things
book
would happen,
about surviving.
but
a
you'd be
snake.
pretty stressed the whole time.
But then you could be
Freaking
like
fuck out.
TikTok.
Yes, you're gonna be TikToking while the snakes are circling you.
The first thing that's gonna be in your head is TikToking for sure.
I will not have a phone during that. Really, I would have called for help if I had a phone.
I would have TikTok. You would have called for help.
You don't even have TikTok.
I don't have TikTok either, but I reference it awfully lot. We're eating soft apricots. I recommend them. They're today. Alesto. Soft apricot.
Alaska and
Never
Brazil
tasted
nuts.
anything softer. Also by
Never
Alesto.
tasted
Try their new
anything
snacks.
crunchier.
What's that? Is it?
Brazil nut.
Oh, it's Brazil nuts. Dope. Did you see my new painting, guys?
No.
Oh,
It's nice. What is it?
I like the
Meditation.
Meditation. Okay, do
It's
we have...
good. It is.
Would you rather not be able to write anymore in your life, or to never meditate again in your life?
Oh.
Like, meditation is actually not that central to me. I would probably, yeah. Writing is important, right? Writing is important. So yeah, for sure. I keep writing. But meditation is important, guys. I wouldn't be happy about that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think. Is this it then?
Maybe, yeah. I can think of anything.
I don't
Yeah.
have any other would you rather's. Do you have any for me? Like I just created one for you.
Let's see. Would you rather, Zuza, have to eat only um uncooked food for a year, or just eat um I don't know, um unhealthy stuff for a year?
Easy.
Unhealthy stuff for a year.
Hmm.
I would love that. What do
I
you
don't
think?
know, because if it's just eating unhealthy stuff for a year, can you think about that? Like
Maybe I would do the raw one just to have a year where I get really
you'd
healthy.
be eating like Fruit Loops with like
Actually,
chocolate milk in the morning. That's
burger.
what you'd be eating the
Yeah, but
whole time.
after the healthy year, go back to the burgers. But
I
during
would-
your healthy year, you just
I would be going to
Replenish
Bucci's
your
every
organs.
day. Oh, McDonald's.
Imagine your like body after that. It's like I would like die after that. I'd
I would
probably be in a
exercise
hospital
at the
bed.
same time to try to balance it out. You know,
I
quit
would not want to
smoking.
exercise after eating a giant burger.
I would have to. That's my answer.
I don't know. I wouldn't make that choice. I think I'd rather eat uncooked
You
foods
really like healthy
for a
food
year,
all of a sudden. Wow.
but only uncooked. It's even more extreme. It's just
Raw
uncooked.
vegan, it's like it's well, I guess you could do fish too. It's just raw. Raw fish.
Sushi.
Eat raw fish. That's chill.
Sushi though.
Steak
I could
tartare.
just eat sushi all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe I choose raw then. I choose raw.
On top of a thin cucumber slice.
Oh.
That's it. Just eating sushi and nuts and juice and fruit and that's chill. Like it's probably super good for you as well. Like that you're not like digesting cooked stuff. Probably there's probably something good about that.
Yeah,
So
if you cook vegetables, they like lose some of their nutrients or something.
Oh, interesting.
The more-
yeah, it's something like some people do actually as a diet plan as well. They only like they don't actually cook anything, and it's fairly restrictive, but I guess it works for some people.
We're so far of the topic now. We're gonna end the podcast here. We can talk after later. Okay, well, I can get up. Thank you very much.
I see bye bye now.
Ow, for coming for Tia and Shah, and we shall see you.
Thank you, guests.
Bye.